Big thanks to all the members for directly supporting my content here on the platform. And remember, if you want to support as well, the missile knows where the join button is at all times. Hello pilots, how's life treating you? Doing good? Well, I'm doing great. Today, I'm flying the F-18 with the MLU-2 package, which stands for Midlife Upgrade. And well, it doesn't have anything different in terms of specs compared to the American F-18 at 14.0. For air combat, its main difference compared to other F-18 is the presence of BOL, that magical little box of infinite countermeasures you see on the Gripen and other aircraft too. But please, don't make the mistake of relying on flares with this thing. Let's just say the F-18 is a bit harder to dodge a missile with a flare the size of an Abrams clickbait player's patience. So, I stick to using flares as the plane's native countermeasure, and I only use chaffs with the BOL. And since my first video with this vehicle, where I explained some details about its flight strategy possibilities, not much has changed. It's basically about flying at most at intermediate altitudes and preferably staying close to your team, which for me is the worst part. The plane has all those performance limitations you already know about, and well, you can't play too passively, or you'll end up without any frags. And since the F-18 player also needs to put some research points on the table, I'm here to help. Basically, a strategy that works for me, and I know most of you will see it as super risky, is to predict where the furball is going to happen and just sit there, which is pretty much what I'm doing right now. The F-18 has a lot of armament, and since it's not a plane that gets tons of frags but can consistently secure them, you're gonna fire a missile at any target that even slightly smells like it has a good aspect. Look at what I'm doing. I'm applying as much pressure as I can while, of course, always keeping an eye on positioning. If I'm gonna play low, it has to be multipathing, and if I'm going for altitude, it can't be too low or too high. And here's the bonus of altitude, being able to defend against missiles without it hurting me too much. Look at this beautiful positioning. I'm not a plane meant to carry the match. I'm a plane that serves the team. I'm in the perfect spot to help a good portion of my allies and be helped if needed. That is, in a perfect world, of course. We all know sometimes they'll only realize you need help after about 10 circles of dogfighting, if they even notice at all. And since it was a furball, the enemies will naturally come from specific directions, so it's almost like a tower defense. Because as an F-18, our map coverage is just terrible. That's why all this attention is necessary. If you're not paying attention, you're gonna starve playing this thing. You'll miss out on frags, and then you'll come here in the comments saying you need some of my paid actors. Sorry, I'm not rich and don't even have the money to hire some for myself. I'm worried about that guy coming from the airfield. He's the enemy most capable of building an advantage right now. My team seems to be handling the enemies on our side of the map, so I'm going to give some support to the rear. That's what I'm talking about. I identified that they could handle the problems at home, and I prevented future stress so they could stay focused there. And there are still more targets coming in. This is exactly what I mean. The F-18 player needs to be able to spot these kinds of situations to succeed with the plane. With the F-18, you don't chase the frags. The frags have to come to you. I'm gonna fly a bit cold toward this guy because I'm almost out of missiles, and I feel like engaging him a bit closer. That's it, he didn't even notice I made a circle there. Perfect. Now it's just that Eurofighter left. He went to rearm, so I'll be back when something happens. The Eurofighter just took off, and the woman I love made me accidentally eject my last two C5s that were on the pylons. This could have been so much easier, but at least it just got more fun. I'm gonna have to try and take him down the old-fashioned way, just hoping he doesn't get too fast and outrun my Sidewinder. Just a little more speed for you, my precious 9M. Damn! He saw my missile and had two options. Either run and drain the missile's energy with a better trajectory, or make a sharp turn and find a good aspect to defend against it. And he did neither. Anyway, thanks for the frag, man. When I said pushing with the team was a bad thing because, well, you're with your team, it's something necessary with this plane. That's definitely a fact, but not everything about it is bad. On small maps like this city one, it's perfect, because you can play the game in a simpler, less methodical way, which fits the plane's playstyle really well. You've got plenty of armament, tons of countermeasures, and a great ability to defend yourself, and I guarantee you'll have a good time. Now, let's get to the fight. And of course, the most important advice from the previous match still stands. Always apply pressure whenever you can. If the enemy shows even the slightest desire to die, you go ahead and help them out. That's why I love the F-18. At times, I can get creative and pull off plays like I'm filming a Michael Bay movie. Constant shootouts, risky flying, explosions, and all that good stuff. It's pretty easy to pull off those plays where you use the terrain to defend yourself. I highly recommend mastering this skill with this incredible machine. At this point, a regular player would just go looking for more frags around the map. But since you're an F-18, you live a tower defense life and wait for the frags to come to you. The last enemies are close to their airfield, so it doesn't hurt to climb a bit higher and dream big. We've already noticed that the strengths and weaknesses of the F-18 really limit how you can play efficiently, but there are always exceptions for the crazy ones, and here's one of them. I flew a route to the right of my team, which means I went straight to where the enemy team usually gathers, just to show that it's possible to have good matches even with a jet that's super weak for this kind of thing. The first thing to do here is just try to take out the enemies with the most advantage, meaning the ones that are high up, and know when to make those really long extends when you're on defense. Here, I managed to take out a guy who was high, so now I can keep pushing the other team. Look at electronic warfare messing up my radar right there. Good thing the guy's still far away. That's what I'm talking about. The 9Ms have been super juiced lately. Just imagine if I had the flare from the ball here, it would have been a guaranteed death. Well, he could have held his speed a bit longer, but the fun button helped a lot too. GG, let's go to the next one. For the fourth match, I'm going to do more of the same strategy, just applying it really well, so it's going to be pretty quiet and I won't talk much. The point of this clip is to show or talk about problems the jet or its flight strategies have, so when I get there, I'll be back. Well guys, as you saw at the end of the last match, that's still a big problem when you're playing with the F-18. Of course, I'm talking about teammates. Unfortunately, in this jet, you really need them for things to work out consistently. My conclusion about the MLU-2 is that even though you get a huge amount of countermeasures, that's not gonna fix the main problems. Like, countermeasures were never even an issue for this jet. I don't know what made some people think that would make it better. You're still gonna have really limited performance, to the point where it actually stops you from performing. Your jet is still gonna bleed a ton of energy in turns, which is basically the only thing this vehicle does well. And you're still stuck with mediocre engine power. Well, life is what it is. You really gotta like this jet to play with it. Even though it's doable, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? So here's the fourth match for anyone who likes long videos. I'll be back at the end to say goodbye to you guys. Well, gentlemen, that's all from me for today. I hope you enjoyed the content. Leave a comment about what you think of all this. Your feedback is super important to me. The video ends, but the chat lives on. Thanks for supporting my work. Karma out.